Hi, I'm Sam.
And I'm Andrew.
And we're NB Board Gaming. And today we are looking at Disney's The Haunted Mansion. Andrew is going to show us how to play, and then we'll come back for our thoughts.
Disney's The Haunted Mansion is a game for 2 to 6 players that plays at about 30 minutes. It is designed by Prospero Hall and published by Funko Games. In this game, players are going to be scoring points by collecting sets of different cards, all while avoiding the hitchhiking ghosts and strategically winning or losing duels. Let's see how it's played. Now, a game of The Haunted Mansion is going to be determined by this event deck. This is how long or how short a game is going to be. It's going to be dependent on this deck of cards. And you're going to prepare this event deck during the setup. And the way that works is that you're going to take all the cards for the event deck, you're going to shuffle them up, and then you're going to remove the same number of players, that many cards. So in this case, a 4-player game, I remove 4 cards. Okay. You're also going to take a final round card, and you are going to shuffle it into the 3 bottom cards of this deck. So you're never really going to know when the end of the game is going to occur. You just know it is going to be in one of the last 4 cards of this deck. All right. And once that final round card comes up, that is going to trigger the end of the game. Now, the way a round works for this game is there are 2 phases. All right. You have an event phase and you have an action phase. So let's go ahead and we're going to jump right in and talk about the event phase. So for the event phase, as you can see, something to point out is that the board is broken into 6 different rooms. All right, 6 different rooms all around, and they're each associated with a section of the endless hallway. Now, at the beginning of the game, all 4 players are going to start in the seance room, but I'm going to show you a little bit about what could happen during the event phase. So on the event phase, you're going to draw a card from the event deck, and you're going to focus on the top part first. So this case, you're going to move the hitchhiking ghosts. So you'll always move them. In this case, 3 spaces in the counterclockwise. Okay, so you're going to take them and they're going to go 1, 2, 3. Now, for this first round, nothing's going to happen to the players because they're all in the seance room. But for the sake of example, let's say the red player was in this room and the gray player was here. Now, what's going to happen in this event phase is that if the ghost moves through a room where a player is at, for example, the red player, they are going to draw a haunt card. All right. And if it finishes its movement in a room with a player or players, that person is going to get 2 haunt cards. Now, these are important because these are going to range from values of 1, 2, or 3. And at the end of the game, whoever has the highest value of these haunt cards added up, they are going to lose some of the cards that they have been collecting. So whichever type of card they collect the most of, if you have the highest value of haunt cards, you're going to lose all of those cards. And if there's a tie between 2 different types of cards, you're going to lose the one that gives you the most points. So it is inevitable to get these haunt cards, but it's not too big of a deal so long as you are not the one who has the most haunts, okay? So keep that in mind as you're playing the game. So after you have moved the ghosts around and dealt out any haunt cards, the next thing you're going to do is you are going to put out ghost cards. And the way you're going to figure out how many to put out is it is going to be equal to the number of players plus 3. So in this case, I'm going to draw 7 cards. Okay, so you grab 7 cards. The first 2 are going to go face up in the room where the hitchhiking ghosts are. And then you are going to continue around the board in a clockwise fashion. And you'll be placing 1 card in each room as you go. And you may go all the way around the board, depending on the number of players, and that's okay. So or if you have less players, maybe not every single room will get a card, but in this case, 7 cards, every room is going to get a card. All right. So once you have placed out ghost cards, then you're going to go back to the event card and you're going to read the bottom. And this is what's going to be essentially the event or the condition for this round. So at the end of your turn, you can discard one of the ghost cards that you have to discard 2 haunt cards. So there will be ways for you to get rid of haunt cards, which we will talk about. Okay? So after the event phase is over, then you're going to go into the action phase, and the first player is going to be the person that has this token. So let's talk about the event phase. Now, with the event phase, you're going to be looking at, or not the event phase, the action phase, sorry. With the action phase, you can refer to your little reference card. Each player will have one. You are going to be taking up to 3 actions on your turn, all right? And they have each of the actions laid out on the card. And they're going to be fairly simple. So, for example, one action is going to be moving 1 space. So if I'm the blue player, I can move out of the seance room into this section of the endless hallway for 1 action. I could then move to an adjacent room for 1 action. I cannot move from here and jump all the way over there. However, there is a way for me to go all the way on the other side of the board in 1 action, and that is the second option, and that is rotate. This seance board in the middle actually rotates for you to go more than 1 space if you need to get to a specific card. And while you're doing that, you may also be moving your opponents around and maybe moving them closer or further away from the cards that they want. All right. So once you rotate, you can do that for one of your actions. Another action that you can do is going to be collecting the card in the room that you're presently in. So if I'm in this blue room, I can collect this card for 1 action. Now, if I had multiple actions to spend, I could take these actions, the move, rotate, or collect multiple times, but I just can't use more than 3 actions. All right, and then I'm going to take this card and I'll put it in front of me. But as you can see with these cards, they're all going to score a little differently, just depending on the cards you get. So for example, this one with the hammer, if I get 3 of them, it's going to be worth 15 points. However, if I get all 4 of these different symbols on white cards, I will get 18 points. Whereas, let's say I had collected this green harp card, depending on how many I have at the end of the game, I'm going to score points, all right? And what's nice about this is, let's say I collected 5 of these harp cards, I can then still collect harp cards and start a completely different set. So this could be worth 25, and then I can continue to collect more of them to hopefully get another set to make 25 points. But depending on how many you have, you'll score points for those. Some are going to have abilities with them. For example, this one gives you 2 points, but then you get to move the hitchhiking ghost 3 spaces when you collect the card. And this is going to work the exact same way that the ghosts work when you move them in the event phase. If I move those hitchhiking ghosts through somebody's room, even if it's my own, they're going to get haunt cards, and if they finish their movement in a room where a player is, they're going to get 2 haunt cards. So these are going to be out there. There will be ones that allow you to draw, which isn't necessarily a good thing, but it gives you 4 points for 1 card, but this one makes you draw a haunt. Also, there will be ones that let you get rid of a haunt. Now, one thing I should say during this collection is that if I was in this section here with the actual hitchhiking ghosts, and I decide to collect one of these cards, does not matter if I collect a card where the hitchhiking ghosts are, I will then have to draw a haunt card. All right, and that's pretty much how you collect cards in the game. Now, there are 2 additional actions you can take with your up to 3 actions per turn. One is going to be a duel. All right, so during the game, other players are going to be claiming cards, and you may decide, you know what, Billy has a card that I want to take it. I want to take that. I want to try to take it from them. All right, in order for you to duel, you have to be in the same room as another player. All right, and then you say, you know, I want to attempt a duel against them to steal one of their ghost cards. And what you're going to do is each player is going to take one of these dueling dials, and on it they are going to bid either 1, 2, or 3 haunt cards. Okay, and whoever bids the highest is going to win the card. So if I bid more than he does, I would get that ghost card. However, whether you win or lose, so let's say I bid 2 and he bid 3, he would win, so he would take 3 haunt cards. Okay, so you get to keep your card, but there is a negative to it. However, even though I lost, I still take the haunt cards that from losing the duel. All right? Some people might not like that, but that's how it works. So you could try to fake it out, start a duel, say, hey, I want to steal this card from you, but I'm going to bid 0, and maybe they can take some additional haunt cards and use that to your advantage. With the duel, though, on your turn, you can only do that once. So you can't use 3 actions to do 3 duels. And the last action that you can do is that if you are in the seance room, you can discard one of your haunt cards. All right. And so this can only happen, though, once per turn. So you can only do this once as one of your actions. And you have to be in the seance room in order to do it. All right. There will be potentially cards that come out. They might change some of those rules, but that'll be situational, obviously, if those cards even come out during your game. And that is pretty much all your options for your actions. You're going to go around, and everybody's going to have the opportunity to take their 3 actions. And after that, you then pass the first player token, and then you're back to the event phase, where you'll then move the ghosts, play out more cards. All the cards that weren't chosen will stay out there for the duration of the game or until they are collected. And you're going to have a new situation for that round. You'll keep going until you get to the final round card, where additional cards will be placed out into the mansion. All right. And after that, whoever has the highest value of cards, of haunt cards, is going to lose the type that they have the most of. So like I said, if I had a bunch of these harp cards, if I had 5 of these green harp cards and I had 4 of these red cards or 3 of these red cards, I would lose all of my green cards. All right? And whoever has the highest points at the end of the game is going to be the winner. So that's how you play Disney's The Haunted Mansion. So let's take it back up top and see what we have for our final thoughts.
Okay. And that is how you play Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
So what did you think of this game?
This was a game that I was surprised by. I'm not going to lie. It's not one that was really on my radar. This was a Christmas present that I received this last year. And so it wasn't one that was really ever on my radar. I never really looked into it. I'm not a huge fan of the movies. I think some people love it or hate it, whatever, take it however you wish. So I didn't really know anything about it. It just wasn't really something that stuck out to me. And so I got it, and then we played it literally like the next day after we had got it. And I was very pleasantly surprised. I actually enjoyed the gameplay. I enjoyed the trying to go out and collect the different cards, whether it was trying to get multiple of the same cards or you're looking for certain symbols to score points and kind of creating these different sets. And so all while trying to manage your haunt cards. And so and there's a little bit of that where you can be moving those ghosts around and kind of hurting other people and really trying to make sure taking a haunt card, I think, is inevitable, but it really just comes down to, so long as I don't have the most, that's all that matters. Yeah. I don't care. So it's not about me having to get rid of mine. It's how much can I pour onto you. And so I thought that was really interesting. The game brings a nice level of anxiety with that, well as you don't really know when the game's going to end, because the final round card, you don't know when it's coming. Yeah. It's one of the last couple cards, but that's about it. And so I was very pleasantly surprised. I thought it was, I found it enjoyable. I thought it was, I couldn't even tell you really too much about the movie now, so I'm not sure how much the theme really sinks in. I know about the hitchhiking ghosts and everything, but I know about the seance room that you're in, but I really can't tell you a ton. It's not really
much to do with the theme? Movie.
Okay.
I feel like it's more or less to do with like the ride at Disney, because you see all of that in the ride, with the Madame Leota like in the ball in the seance room, and then you go through the different, but I feel like it's more or less geared towards like the ride. I feel, the movie that they made, I don't think it really has like too much to do with that.
Okay.
But yeah, so what would you say is your positives?
I think my positives are that I just like I think there is a little bit more depth in the game than when you initially see it. I think there's more to the game than just what meets the eye.
Yeah.
Whether it be the dueling, trying to steal cards from one another, the manipulation of the ghosts and trying to haunt other players, the moving, the rotating of that seance room in the endless hallway, being able to know when to go into the seance room to maybe avoid getting any haunts when they're moving around. I just think there's a little bit more depth there than I thought. And so I like that. I like that there's a little bit of give and take there. I like the whole, there's multiple different strategies. It's not everybody necessarily going for the same card. You might have people going for completely different things.
Yeah.
And really being able to play those cards off of one another. And so I think you can play multiple games and go a different route. I mean, again, it's going to depend on what cards come up, so there's a little bit of luck there.
Yeah.
But I really like that, and there's sometimes you're just like, oh, please don't take that card. I really need that card, or do I want to? Where are they going to move next? Because I don't want them to move through my room or stop in my room. So I like that anxiety that it brings. It's a healthy dose of anxiety that it brings to the game, and and so you get that turn angst. But those are some of the positives that I have. I think component wise, I have one negative that I'll bring up later, but for the most part, it was relatively decent.
Okay.
I mean, cards were good quality. The little minis were nice and everything, but yeah, overall, I thought it was a pretty decent game.
Okay.
What about you? What are your positives?
Well, positives, I love the theme of it. Obviously, when I saw it at the store, like before you got it, I was like, ooh, I want to play that game. And he ended up getting it for Christmas. And I was also very surprised with how much I enjoyed it. I wasn't really sure because I was like, well, it's Haunted Mansion. Like, maybe it's more like kind of a kid's game or whatever. But it did have more depth to it than I thought it would. And so I definitely agree with that. I was like, oh, like I'm surprised I liked it this much. And
not that it's a heavy game. It's really easy, obviously.
It is, but I thought it's probably like a kid's game. You know what I mean? Like,
right. Does it say what the age 8 and up?
8 and up. Yeah. So I kind of was like, oh, well, how's this gonna be? But yeah. So also the feeling of actually that I like it because it's like the anxious feeling that you get. It kind of is thematic in that way that like, oh, you're in a haunted mansion and you're afraid that like when the ghosts come through, you're going to get these haunt cards.
It's true.
And so it's kind of like, oh, like you're scared, you're going to get these haunt cards. But that is, like what the game is about. Like these ghosts are traveling through and the rooms are spinning. And I kind of like that too, that you get to rotate the board. And so that kind of reminds me too of just like being in a haunted house and how, rooms could spin or whatever, and I thinking back to like, even if you haven't rode the Disney, Haunted Mansion ride, but like it does feel like it's a haunted house. I love the art. The art is awesome. I feel like the board is really cool. Like it's so colorful, but it's dark and it's got, like the different rooms are different colors and stuff. So I thought that was really awesome. I like that everybody can kind of work towards something different. There could be dueling over some stuff. They could be dueling, but also like, this person could have this, pairs of cards and you have something completely different that you could be going for. And so and then there's, like, I don't want to have the most haunt at the end because then I'm going to lose my highest scoring cards. So there's always that, like you're going to get haunt cards no matter what, it's going to happen. Right. But trying to keep it as low as possible compared to the other players, but you also don't know what their amount is.
Right.
So
this is a nice bit of chaos because this does play up to 6 players.
yeah.
So I mean, you have 6 people out there running around trying to get. I feel like it'd be crazy,
It would be
which
crazy.
awesome.
Yeah.
So I haven't played it at 6, but I would like to. I would like to just have one
Yeah, and
crazy
see what
6-player
happens.
game. I worry that it might be a little long
Yeah.
between turns. That is one big fear there. Just because I mean, yes, you're only doing 3 actions, but you don't know what everybody else is doing, and so you could try to plan out your turns ahead of time. But still, it should be pretty snappy. But I would be excited just to see the chaos.
Right.
So what about negatives?
I don't really know if I have any negatives for the game. I mean, the I guess the haunts, when they cause versus them the ghost stopping on you, you get more haunts than if they go through you, right?
Yeah, if it goes through your room, you get 1 haunt. If it ends and lands and stays on your room, you get 2.
2, which I was like, oh, that kind of sucks compared to them just passing through you. But I mean, you're getting haunted.
You just
That's
don't
what the
like
game
anything
is.
when bad stuff happens.
I don't.
You
but
don't like that
it's-
in any game.
Some bad stuff is okay, but you can. This is very people can move it around, so you do
Right.
get hit with haunt cards. That's just part of the game. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've used that to my advantage a number of times in this game.
yeah, you did.
I do have a couple negatives. Well, one, obviously, there's the luck of the cards. You don't know which way the
Yeah.
ghosts are going to be moving. You also don't know, when the end of the game. I mean, you have an idea, but then also what cards come out. I mean, you might be looking for a specific card, and it doesn't come out.
Yeah.
But that's a minor negative, I guess, because luck's going to factor into it. But then I think the one big negative I have, and that are those haunt cards. They are so small. They are
Oh, the size
ridiculously
of them,
tiny.
yeah.
And if you're trying to shuffle them or whatever, you don't
Yeah.
even try.
Yeah.
Because there's so many, and if you try to bend them, they bend so easily.
Yeah.
The cards are horrible. I hate those little cards. I
Yeah.
hate them.
They should have
Just
been
make
the
them
size
regular
of a
cards.
card,
Just
yeah.
make them regular cards. I don't know. Is it too expensive to make them just? Regardless, it was horrible, 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 horrible. I hated it. As soon as I opened the game, I was like, "Are you freaking kidding me?"
The only
Look
thing
at
I can
these.
think of is maybe because
They're smaller than the cards that were Ticket to Ride. The original Ticket to Ride cards were small, and these are smaller than that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Maybe
they're
just
horrible.
so you can. It's harder to tell how many haunt cards people have because they're so small. If you have them stacked, you can't really tell. Maybe that's why they did that.
No,
I
it's
don't
horrible.
know. I just.
They're allowed to know how many haunts you have, just not the value. So
Yeah,
what does it
right.
matter how
I
small or
don't
big?
know.
You know what
Maybe
I'm saying?
Then it's not so
Anyway,
obvious.
that's the big negative I have. The cards, you can't shuffle them. So
Yeah,
I mean,
they're that big.
yeah, so they're real small. They're
Mm-hmm.
horrible. That is my big negative, especially with that. And yeah, I will. That's my negative.
Okay.
You were like, no negatives. I was like, I got at least one big one.
I forgot about that,
Right.
but to me it doesn't bother me so much.
Right,
in this
right.
game,
I think the game will feel a little samey over the time. Yes, you can get different cards, but after a while, I think the excitement is going to come in with the player interaction. Because if you have a lot of people trying to haunt each other or duel each other for cards, that's what's going to make this game is the people that you play with, really. Which, I mean, is pretty much every game. It's going to be the people you play with,
Yeah.
but more so
There
with
is
this
a lot
too.
of interaction for sure.
Right. So that's great. That is a positive.
Yeah.
Is that player interaction. If you don't like take that games, if you don't like that people could do bad stuff to you or steal your cards, this is not going to be the game for you.
Yeah.
Because they could try to take the cards that you worked hard to get, or they could, go and steal the cards you want or move the ghosts around to haunt you. I will say the another thing that some people find negative as well are those duels. Because if you do a duel, you're betting how many haunt cards you're willing to take in order to get that card. And unlike, a lot of times a lot of people would think when you do those duels and you're bidding, whoever wins would be the one that take the haunt cards. But the winner and the loser are going to take those haunt cards.
Yeah, that is a negative actually. Now that you say
So
that,
it's going
I
to be,
don't
it's
think-
not just one player that's getting, like, you might not get the card, but you're still going to get some haunts.
Yeah, which
so you either,
sucks.
do I want to bid all the way up, or do I just want to bid 0 and lose the card, you know, because you might lose and still take haunt cards. So
Yeah, I can
there's
see
that.
that.
So on your scale, what would you give this a rating of?
I think I would give this. I'm not one for, like, I don't like a lot of take that in games, but this one is an exception. Like, I think if you're a person that doesn't like take thatty games, I'm like that too, but I felt like this I don't take so seriously because it's like, you know, with the theme of it and stuff. So I'm gonna give it an 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was going to go with an 8.5, but I'm going to go with an 8 on it.
What? Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's your rating. I just like give you crap.
What are you
Okay.
going to give it?
This is a 7. This is a solid 7. It was a surprise. I was expecting it to be a 5 or a 4, not really knowing anything out of it, but it's a 7. I think it's enjoyable. I think it's one that I will play more of. I will enjoy it. It'll be one that's easy that I can teach to new players.
Yeah.
There could be a lot of fun
It's a very
interactive times. Yeah, it's a
family game.
fun family little weight game. It's definitely a 7. I would never give it, you know, an 8.5 or anything like that, but I'll give it a
Whatever.
7. It's a solid
I
little
liked
game.
it.
It'll probably stick around for a little while, and you know, who knows where it'll be in a year from now? We'll find out. But
It'll be here. So.
yeah, so that is our thoughts on the Haunted Mansion. Feel free to go check it out and let us know what you think. Do you like take that games? You know, what are kind of, do they draw you in, or are you more resistant to a game that's take thatty? You know, I know this one. She will steer far clear
I
of
will be
things.
salty.
She's much more of like, I want to do multiplayer solo game kind of stuff. That's her thing.
You can interact with
So,
me, but just be nice.
Yeah,
about
but
it.
let us know. What do you think of those take that games, and how do you interact? How do you play take that games with people that don't like them? You know, like, oh, they sit down and they try to play it and they don't like it. I don't know. I'm asking too many questions. Anyway, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. So like, comment, subscribe, click the little bell icon so you get a notification every single time we post a video, and we will see you guys on the next one. Thanks for watching.
Bye.